Anderson Cooper, to his credit, follows up. Yes, good for you. Let me ask you about the price gouging, he says. I looked at your plan, and he tries to redirect her to, we're talking about the grocery stores and how you're going to help somebody like this guy, Eric. Listen here.
I looked at your plan. You talk about going after price gougers, and I'm quoting from the plan, on essential goods during emergencies or times of crisis. I get that. How does that help, though, someone like Eric with prices that for years the grocery prices just been high?
Well, first of all, Anderson, as you know, and obviously CNN has been covering extensively what has been happening in the state of Georgia, North Carolina, Florida. It's a real
They're
issue.
in crisis.
I was Attorney General of California. I was the top law enforcement officer of the biggest state in the country. I took this issue on because it affects a lot of people. And I'm not going to apologize for the fact that we need to actually deal with accountability when these, not all, in fact, most don't, but when companies are taking advantage of the desperation and the need of the American people.
She can't do it. She's still on the crisis. He says, I get that you got your little plan. You're talking about the plan on essential goods during emergencies or time of crises. I get that, but how does that help somebody like Eric here, who's dealing with prices for years at the grocery store that are too high? And she just pretends it wasn't asked. She specifically says Georgia, North Carolina, and Florida. We know she's talking about the hurricanes. And it's a real issue. I was AG. I was a top law enforcement officer of the biggest state in the country. I took this issue on because it affects a lot of people. I'm not going to apologize for the fact that we need to actually deal with accountability. Who's asking you to apologize? We're asking you for a real answer on what you say is a central plank of your economic plan. Why are you stuck on the hurricane? We're asking about poor Eric, who can't pay for milk. And it didn't get any better where we cut it. She went on. We saw it during the pandemic, a supply chain issue. There was a reduction of supply. And then they would inflate the price of everyday necessities. Not to mention, by the way, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe here she's going to pivot to, the everyday guys like Eric and what happens just on a Monday. Never mind during the pandemic or during, to your question, here's the pivot. Not to mention, by the way, Donald Trump should be here tonight to talk with you and answer your questions. He's not. He refused to come. Okay, back to Donald Trump. But part of his plan is to put in a national sales tax of at least 20%. She's referring to his tariffs. And that will cost you, the American consumer, more money each year. So she doesn't answer. Then he goes to his next question. Let's see. What would be one major policy goal that required congressional action? In other words, like how could you work across the aisle? She doesn't say. She refers backward to their infrastructure deal. She says what we've done in terms of gun safety. I mean, there was not a big, okay. She's not pointing to anything, in other words. She's trying to look back at Biden's record. Then they get to, let's talk about Roe versus Wade. That would require 60 votes in the Senate. Just so people know, I think you know this, but to get legislation passed in the Senate, you need 51 votes. You need a majority over in the House as well. However, to get a vote at all in the Senate, you have to get 60 votes because they can stop a vote on any piece of legislation with a filibuster. The party that has minority rights, that's in the minority in the Senate, can stop the bill from even getting a vote. So this happens all the time when they know that the party in the majority has the votes, but it's something really important and they just aren't going to allow it. They have 51 votes, right? But they don't have 60 votes. Then you can stop it. You stop it with a filibuster. The Democrats have done this to the Republicans and vice versa for a long time. And that's why Anderson says in this question, we're going to play it, to codify Roe versus Wade, which is what she says she wants to do, have national legislation implementing Roe versus Wade in all 50 states, which it cannot pass. That is not constitutional. Trust me, they don't have the authority to do that. He's saying that would obviously require 60 votes in the Senate. You don't have it. So what's your plan? Watch.
Let me ask you, you've talked about codifying Roe v. Wade. That would obviously require 60 votes in the Senate, a majority of the House. That's a big leap. We don't have that yet. If that's not possible to codify it in the House, what do you do?
I think we need to take a look at the filibuster, to be honest with you.
And then she goes on for 2 paragraphs about Liz Cheney, Trump abortion bans, the women have died, all that nonsense she's been spinning. You know what comes next. But we need to take a look at the filibuster. This is not the first time she has said this. She wants to eliminate the filibuster. And what she's saying is she wants to eliminate minority rights in the Senate. Now, we've been through this. The Democrats got rid of the filibuster when they were in control of the Senate years ago for lower court, federal court judges, because they wanted to get all of Obama's judges through. And they said, we're getting rid of the filibuster. You can't stop votes on these judges anymore. And Mitch McConnell got up there and said, you will rue the day you did this, because you will not always be in charge of this chamber. And sure enough, when the Republicans took over control of the Senate and Mitch McConnell became the majority leader, the Republicans got rid of the filibuster for Supreme Court judges. And that is why we now have a Supreme Court that she loathes. They did it. He said, don't do it. The Republicans said, don't do this. You know that this is a slippery slope and where this is going to take us. They said, F off, we're doing it. And so the Republicans got into office and said, turnabout is fair play. Why wouldn't we follow your rules? And that's why. So the filibuster was eliminated on judges, federal judges. But it's still in place on all other legislation. And she's saying we need to get rid of it to force through a national abortion regime. Number one, Congress doesn't have the power to do this. They have limited enumerated powers, and the commerce power is their largest power. I don't think that they're going to be able to do this under the commerce power, a national abortion ban. I think it will fail. It will be struck down as unconstitutional. But number two, saying that you want to use the filibuster just for abortion is a lie. Because you tell me what's going to happen when BLM wants a national law saying we need to lower the threshold even further to sue cops who overstep. And they say we want to eliminate the filibuster on our bill too, because the Republicans are going to block it. Is Kamala Harris going to look at them? Is her Senate leader going to look at them and say, you're not as important to us as, NARAL, Pro-Choice America. You're not as important to us as Planned Parenthood. We're not eliminating the filibuster for your pet issue. Or like any of these green companies, these eco warriors. You're less important to us than abortion. We're going to let it hold. No. Once the filibuster's gone for one, it's gone. It's gone. If you take one specific piece of legislation and say, for that one, we'll get rid of it, but not for that one, but then back for this, forget it. The U.S. Senate has changed forever. The institution itself has changed forever, and you've wiped out minority rights. And by the way, in this particular case, you'd be talking about a Senate. We're looking at a Senate that's going to be divided. Right now, it's 51-49, but it's going to be just about that divided on the next Congress. And you're talking the minority rights in this case will be 50 senators. I mean, you're talking about literally half the country represented by half of this body whose rights will be wiped out entirely. This is not a small deal. She throws it out there like, yeah, she's not a smart person. She's a hack partisan, notwithstanding the fact she never asked a witness whether they were a Republican or a Democrat. And that's why she can just throw this out there, not realizing what danger she's spewing. And it will come back to haunt you, Democrats. It will bite you in the ass, just like it did the last time. Proceed with caution. Proceed with extreme caution. These things don't wind up working well for either side. Moving on. She gets a question about how we can expect you to deviate from Biden. She goes into a long story about her mother and how she took care of her mother when she was sick. I mean, clearly somebody has told Kamala Harris that she needs to be more relatable and that she needs to tell more personal stories. This is why we keep hearing about there's a woman who helped raise us. She helped raise us. She was a small business owner. So I understand small business owners. Okay. That one thing may not actually, all these years ago, may not actually give you quite enough insight on the plight of small business owners in 2024 America, but okay. And now clearly they've said something like, would you humanize yourself? Just try something. And she's come up with this.
And so I bring to my priorities and will as president a new approach and a new idea, frankly, about what we need to do to deal with the sandwich generation. My plan and approach says, hey, you shouldn't have to wipe out all your savings to qualify for Medicaid to be able to get support to hire somebody to help you cook for your parent or help them put on a sweater. Let's invest in the small businesses of America. The woman who helped raise us was a small business owner. I know who small business owners are.
She's obsessed with the sweater. She mentions it all the time. Don't take my word for it. Look at this.
I took care of my mother when she was sick. And that work is the work of trying to cook something that they feel like eating, right? Trying to figure out which clothes will not irritate their skin and help them put on a sweater. Personal story, I took care of my mother when she was sick. It's about trying to cook something they feel like eating. It is trying to find clothes that don't irritate their skin or help them put on a sweater.
Things where it's just about helping an aging parent or person, prepare a meal, put their sweater on.
Yeah. The question was, how will your policies differ from Joe Biden's? I am sorry that she lost her mother to cancer. Millions of Americans have. By the way, that's another thing Joe Biden said he'd be fixing that he didn't. But that is not responsive to how your policies will be different from Joe Biden's. She seems to be trying to say she's going to make Medicare cover the cost of home health care for our seniors. Okay, good luck with that. And how are we going to pay for that? I mean, I would love to have this. I mean, would you please offer something, anything that has a clear lane to get us from A to B so we can see, instead of dreams and ambitions and aspirations that you have, what is your plan? With the holidays approaching, here's a gift to make your loved ones feel special. Cozy Earth. This year, wrap your family in ultimate comfort and enjoy peaceful nights, starting with the right sheets. Cozy Earth's bamboo sheet set offers everyday luxury everyone will love. It's the gift of unparalleled comfort, making every night a serene escape. For holiday pajamas, Cozy Earth's women's bamboo pajama set and men's pajamas are must-haves. They're stylish, super soft, and perfect for cozy mornings or lazy evenings by the fire. What sets Cozy Earth apart? Their temperature-regulating fabrics keep you cool and cozy, plus they offer a 10-year warranty, so these gifts will last for many holidays to come. Wrap the ones you love in luxury with Cozy Earth. Head to CozyEarth.com/MK and use my code MK for up to 40% off. Just go to CozyEarth.com/MK. If you get a post-purchase survey, tell them you heard about Cozy Earth from Megyn Kelly. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.